I stared at the glowing screen of my husband's phone, my heart pounding like a drum in my chest, as the words, "Can't wait to see you tonight, my love," burned into my retinas from an unknown number. It was 2 a.m., and he was snoring peacefully beside me, oblivious to the storm he'd just unleashed in my soul. My name is Sophia. I'm 35, and that night, my world shattered into a million irreparable pieces. We'd been married for 10 years. 10 years of laughter, shared dreams, and what I thought was unbreakable trust. But there I was, in our cozy suburban bedroom, the one we'd painted together in soft blues to symbolize our calm life, feeling like a stranger in my own marriage. The message wasn't the first red flag, but it was the one that finally broke through my denial. It had started weeks earlier, subtle at first, like a whisper I could ignore. Alex had always been the charming type, the sales manager who could talk his way into any deal. But lately, his charm felt directed elsewhere. He'd come home late, smelling of unfamiliar perfume, something floral and cheap. Not the citrus scent I wore. His phone buzzed constantly, and when I'd glance over, he'd angle it away with a casual smile. "Just work, babe," he'd say, planting a kiss on my forehead that now felt like a Judas peck. That night, insomnia had me in its grip. I'd tossed and turned, my mind replaying the day's oddities. A lipstick stain on his collar he'd dismissed as ketchup from lunch. A receipt for lingerie from a boutique I'd never heard of, tucked in his wallet. Thirsty and restless, I slipped out of bed for water, but his phone lit up on the nightstand. Like a beacon? Normally, I respected boundaries. We'd built our marriage on trust, or so I believed. But curiosity, laced with a growing dread, won out. The passcode was still our wedding date, 061415. How ironic that the numbers marking our beginning would unlock our end. The text flooded my vision, a cascade of betrayal. "Last night was incredible. Your body against mine." One read, "I love how you make me feel alive." Another. And then the photos. Him with her. A blonde woman with sharp features and a predatory smile. Their faces pressed close in selfies from hotel rooms and dimly lit bars. Her name was Elena, saved under E. Client. He sold software, not seduction. My hands shook so violently I nearly dropped the phone. How long had this been going on? Scrolling back, I saw months, 6 at least. Dates that matched his, business trips. Weekends he'd claimed were for golf with buddies. Tears blurred the screen, hot and silent. I bit my lip to stifle a sob, not wanting to wake him. Not yet. The pain was physical, a vice squeezing my chest, making it hard to breathe. Flashbacks hit me like waves. Our first date at a little Italian bistro, where he'd looked at me like I was the only woman in the world. Our honeymoon in Hawaii, whispering promises under palm trees. The night we lost our baby 2 years ago, when he'd held me through the miscarriage, swearing we'd try again when I was ready. We'd never tried. Was this why? Had I been too broken, too focused on my event planning career to notice him slipping away? I slid to the floor, back against the bed, knees drawn to my chest. The room spun. Betrayal wasn't just the act. It was the lies stacked like a house of cards. He'd come home from those trips with souvenirs for me, cheap keychains or duty-free chocolate. While lavishing her with what? I grabbed my laptop from the dresser, logging into our joint bank account with trembling fingers. There they were, charges for dinners at upscale spots we'd never visited together, hotel bookings in nearby cities, even a jewelry store purchase for $500. Business expenses, he'd called them when I'd casually asked about a high statement last month. You know how clients are. Gotta wine and dine. Liar. Thief of my heart and our savings. By 4 a.m., the initial shock gave way to a hollow ache. I forwarded the text to my email, took screenshots of everything, then deleted the evidence from his history. Slipping back into bed, I lay there staring at the ceiling. His arm draped over me like it always had. It felt like a stranger's touch now. How could he sleep so soundly while my world crumbled? Morning came too soon. He woke with a yawn, kissing my cheek. "Morning, beautiful. Sleep okay?" I forced a smile, my voice steady despite the storm inside. "Fine. You?" We ate breakfast like normal. Eggs and toast. Him scrolling his phone. Me pretending to read the news. Every bite tasted like ash. Work that day was a blur. As an event coordinator, I was used to juggling chaos. Weddings, corporate galas, birthdays. But nothing prepared me for coordinating my own heartbreak. Colleagues noticed my puffy eyes. Allergies. I lied, echoing Alex's playbook. During lunch, alone in my car, I let the sobs come. Ugly, wrenching cries that left me exhausted. Why me? What was wrong with me? Was I not exciting enough? Not pretty enough after a decade together? Self-doubt clawed at me, whispering that I should have seen it coming. We'd grown comfortable, maybe too comfortable. Date nights had dwindled to Netflix binges. Intimacy felt routine. But that didn't justify this. I searched her online, of course. Elena Martinez, 32, a marketing rep at his firm. Her LinkedIn was professional. Her Instagram, a curated perfection. Beach vacations, cocktail parties. A handsome husband tagged in loving posts. Marco, her spouse, looked like a good man. Kind eyes, a teacher by his bio. Did he know? Probably not. She posted cryptic captions, like living my best life, with emojis that now screamed affair. One photo from last month, her in a necklace that matched the jewelry charge. My blood boiled. The drive home was torture. I pulled over twice, hyperventilating. Part of me wanted to storm in, throw his phone at him, scream until the neighbors called the cops. But another part, the planner in me, whispered patience. Rushing would give him the upper hand. Denials, gaslighting, maybe even turning it on me. No, I'd gather more. I'd make him pay. Not with violence, but with truth so sharp, it cut deep. That evening, I tested the waters. Over dinner, pasta I'd made from scratch, a comfort meal. I asked casually, "How was that client meeting last Tuesday? The one at Romano's?" He froze, fork hovering. "Fine. Why?" His eyes darted. "Just curious. Receipt was for 2. Salmon and tiramisu. Sounds romantic." He laughed, forced. Paranoid much? It was a tough negotiation. We split dessert to celebrate closing the deal. Liar. The text from that night. Dessert was sweet, but you're sweeter. His defensiveness fueled my fire. "You're checking up on me now. That's not like you." I shrugged, heart racing. "Just doing taxes. Found the receipt in your jacket." He changed the subject, but the seed was planted. That night, as he worked late in his office, I installed a tracking app on his phone while he showered. Guilt flickered. Spying felt wrong, but so did cheating. The app pinged. He wasn't at work. He was at a bar downtown. With her, no doubt. Emotions cycled through me. Rage that made me want to smash things. Sorrow that left me curled in fetal position. Numbness where I just stared blankly. I confided in my best friend Jenna over a tearful phone call. "That bastard," she said. "You deserve better, Soph. Leave him." But leaving felt too simple. I wanted him to feel the depth of my pain, to see the wreckage he'd caused. Weeks blurred into secret detective work. The PI I hired, a grizzled ex-cop from savings I'd hidden for emergencies, delivered gold, photos of them kissing in his car, holding hands in parks we'd once strolled. One shot from our anniversary weekend, them at a resort while I'd sat home alone, eating takeout, thinking he was on an emergency trip. Our anniversary. The betrayal deepened, twisting the knife. Contacting Marco was the turning point. I found his email via LinkedIn, sending an anonymous note. "Our spouses are involved. Evidence attached. Let's talk, he replied fast, devastated but eager. We met at a quiet cafe. 2 broken souls in booth seats. How did you find out? He asked, voice cracking. I showed him the texts. He shared hotel receipts from her purse. Our tears mingled with coffee steam. 18 months, he whispered. Kids involved. 2 boys. My heart ached for them. Innocence in this mess. As we parted, a pact formed. No rash actions. Plan. Confront together. Revenge. Served cold and calculated. For the first time since that fateful night, hope flickered amid the pain. I wasn't alone. And Alex? He'd never see it coming. The cafe's steam-filled air clung to my skin like the weight of unspoken secrets. But as I sat across from Marco, Elena's husband, showing him the damning photos on my phone, I felt the first crack in my isolation, a shared glance of raw, unfiltered pain that said, "You're not alone in this hell." It was our first meeting, 2 weeks after I'd uncovered Alex's affair, and in that moment, the depth of the betrayal unfolded like a nightmare I couldn't wake from. My hands trembled as I scrolled through the evidence, each image a fresh stab. Alex and Elena, laughing over wine, his arm around her waist in a way that used to be reserved for me. Marco's face paled, his coffee forgotten, as he whispered, "That's my wife." God, how could she? We were strangers, yet in that booth, we became unwilling allies in a war neither of us had signed up for. I'd spent those 2 weeks in a fog of investigation, each discovery peeling back layers of our marriage like rotten onion skins, revealing the rot beneath. After that initial shock in our bedroom, I'd thrown myself into uncovering the truth, not out of masochism, but because ignorance felt like surrender. I started with the basics, cross-referencing the texts with our calendar. Those late nights at the office aligned perfectly with hotel check-ins. One message from Elena, room 412 tonight. I need you. Sent while I was home, cooking his favorite lasagna, thinking he was closing a big deal. The irony burned. I'd lit candles, poured wine, only for him to text me apologies about unavoidable overtime. I sat on our couch that night, the food growing cold, tears streaming as I realized how many evenings I'd spent alone, waiting for a man who was building a life with someone else. Digging into Elena's identity was like opening Pandora's box. From the contact name and a reverse image search on one of the selfies, I pieced it together. Elena Ramirez, a colleague in marketing at Alex's firm. They'd met at a company retreat I'd skipped because of work. Ironic, since my event planning job had always been the flexible one, allowing me to support his career. Her social media was a masterclass in deception. Posts about work wins, with vague captions like team dinners are the best therapy. But zoom in, and there was Alex's reflection in her wine glass, or his watch on the table. Worse, she was married. Marco appeared in older photos, a tall man with a gentle smile, captioning anniversaries with hearts and promises. Their wedding album was public, 8 years ago, just like us. Did she mock him the way Alex mocked me? The financial betrayal hit hardest. Logging into our joint accounts, something I'd rarely done. Trusting him with the bills, I found a trail of deceit. Thousands siphoned, $300 at a lingerie store, not my size. $800 on a weekend spa retreat, while he claimed a golf trip with the guys. Even plane tickets to a beach resort that matched Elena's Instagram stories of solo self-care getaways. Our savings, meant for a house down payment, or the kids we'd talked about starting, funded their fantasy. One charge stood out, a custom necklace from a jeweler downtown, engraved. I drove there the next day, heart pounding, and asked about it. The clerk remembered, oh yes, to my forever on the back. Sweet couple. The word echoed like a slap. I left the store, sat in my car, and screamed until my throat was raw. How dare he use our money, my overtime hours, our shared sacrifices, to adorn another woman. Emotions crashed over me in waves. Anger that made my blood boil. Sadness that left me curled in bed for hours. Humiliation that whispered I wasn't enough. At work, I'd zone out during client meetings, imagining Alex and Elena together. What did she have that I didn't? Youth, excitement. I'd aged gracefully. Or so friends said, but staring in the mirror, I saw crow's feet from laughing with him. Stretch marks from the miscarriage we'd grieved together. That loss haunted me now. 2 years ago, when the doctor said, no heartbeat, Alex had held me, promising, we'll get through this. But had he already been turning to her? Texts dated back 18 months. Right around then, the thought twisted my gut. While I mourned our unborn child, he sought comfort elsewhere. Loneliness amplified everything. Friends noticed my withdrawal. I confided in Jenna, who urged confrontation. Kick him out, but I couldn't. Not yet. Acting impulsively would let him spin lies. Maybe even paint me as the villain. No, I needed irrefutable proof. The private investigator I'd hired delivered more. Surveillance photos of them at motels, parks, even our favorite coffee shop. One shot showed them arguing. Elena's face tear-streaked, Alex gesturing angrily. Good, let them suffer too. But seeing it humanized her, and that sparked unwanted pity. She wasn't a monster. She was a cheater, like him. Still, the humiliation stung. Co-workers must know. Whispers at company parties I'd attended, feeling out of place among his work friends. Had they pitied me? Gaslighting flashbacks tormented me. Weeks before discovery, I'd questioned a late night. Who texts at midnight? He'd laughed. Jealous? It's just a client. His tone turned sharp when pressed. You're being ridiculous, Sophia. Trust me. I'd back down, doubting myself. Now I saw the pattern. Deflection, accusation, making me question my sanity. Therapy started secretly. The counselor labeled it betrayal trauma, prescribing journaling. Pages filled with rage. How could you, Alex? We built this life together. And sorrow. I miss the man I thought you were. Contacting Marco was the boldest step. After piecing together his identity from Elena's posts, I emailed anonymously. Our spouses are betraying us. Evidence attached. Coffee. He responded within hours. I suspected. Let's meet. That cafe rendezvous changed everything. Marco was 36, a high school teacher with warm brown eyes and a quiet strength. He arrived looking as wrecked as I felt. Disheveled hair, shadowed eyes. We exchanged stories over lukewarm lattes. Voices cracking. She's been distant for over a year, he said. Told me it was work stress, but hotel receipts in her bag. Now this. I showed texts. He shared emails from a shared laptop. Plans for our future. Discussions of divorce. They want to leave us, he whispered. Tears welling. I reached across, squeezing his hand. We'll face this together. Bonding came naturally. We weren't flirting. Far from it. Pain was our glue. He had 2 sons, ages 5 and 7. Innocent faces in photos he showed. What do I tell them? His voice broke. My heart ached. We'd wanted kids, but after the miscarriage, Alex delayed. Now I knew why. His energy elsewhere. We compared timelines. Their affair started at that retreat, blossomed into weekends away. Funded by our money, I said bitterly. Marco nodded. Similar charges on their cards. Our meetings evolved into strategy sessions. Twice a week, we'd meet in parks or cafes, away from prying eyes. We need more evidence, I insisted. He agreed, providing Elena's passwords he'd guessed. Together, we built a dossier. Screenshots, bank statements, PI reports. Emotions ran high. Laughter through tears at absurd lies. Like Alex claiming allergies for hickeys, but mostly shared grief. I feel so alone. I confessed one rainy afternoon. Marco hugged me platonically. Not anymore. By month's end, the depth sank in. Not just physical infidelity, but emotional annihilation. They'd mocked us in messages. Sophia's too trusting. Marco's oblivious. Humiliation fueled resolve. We weren't victims. We were survivors. The plan formed. Confront them publicly, together with truth as our weapon. As I drove home from our last meeting, rain streaking the windshield like tears, hope flickered. The crumbling trust hurt, but in its ruins, I found strength and an unlikely friend. Leaving the house that night, Alex kissed me goodbye for poker with buddies. I smiled, knowing he was meeting her. Inside, loneliness gripped, but I whispered, soon. The emotional roller coaster, anger to despair to empowerment, left me exhausted, but alive. For the first time, I saw a future beyond him. The rain-slicked park bench, where Marco and I huddled under a shared umbrella, became our clandestine headquarters, the droplets drumming a rhythm that mirrored my racing heart as we pored over the growing stack of evidence. Printouts of emails, grainy photos from the PI, and bank statements that screamed betrayal, louder than any scream I could muster. It was 3 weeks into our alliance, and as I traced a finger over a particularly damning text exchange, where Alex called Elena his true partner, the depth of my pain twisted into something sharper. Resolve. My name is Sophia, and in that moment, surrounded by the grey autumn drizzle, I transitioned from broken wife to architect of justice. But planning revenge wasn't just logistics. It was an emotional minefield. Each step unearthing guilt, rage, and a flickering hope that I could reclaim my shattered self. Our meetings had evolved from tearful confessions to strategic sessions, but the weight of what we were doing pressed on me constantly. Marco, with his teacher's precision, laid out a timeline on a notebook. Week 1, gather intel. Week 2, legal prep. Week 3, execution. Execution. The word hung heavy. Not violent, but final. We'd meet in neutral spots. Parks, out-of-the-way cafes, to avoid suspicion. At home, I maintained the facade, smiling at Alex over dinner, nodding at his lies about team-building exercises that I now knew were afternoons tangled in hotel sheets with Elena. Each fake laugh chipped away at my soul, but it fueled the fire. Patience. Marco reminded me during one session, his voice steady. They've had months to build their lies. We'll dismantle them in one night. Collecting evidence became an obsession, a way to channel the chaos inside me. The PI's reports arrived like poison darts. More photos of Alex and Elena at discreet lunches, her hand on his knee under a cafe table. Audio clips from a bug I'd planted in his car. Guilt gnawed at me for that invasion, but so did his. One recording captured them laughing about us. Sophia's so wrapped up in her events, she wouldn't notice if I moved out. Alex chuckled. Elena's giggle followed. Marco's the same, too busy grading papers to see what's right in front of him. Hearing it, I doubled over in the bathroom, dry heaving from the humiliation. How had I become a punchline in my own marriage? Flashbacks assaulted me. Nights I'd waited up for Alex, worried about his stress, only to be met with curt dismissals. You're overthinking, he'd say, his eyes avoiding mine. Gaslighting, my therapist called it. Now those memories weren't wounds. They were weapons, sharpening my determination. Marco contributed his share, hacking into Elena's old email account with a password she'd reused from their early dating days. Something poetic about that vulnerability. We found threads planning our escape, discussions of apartments, even vague talks of blending families. Blending. Marco's face crumpled when he read it. My boys, he whispered, eyes misting. They adore her. This will shatter them. Guilt surged through me then, a tidal wave. Were we destroying two families for the sake of truth? His sons, innocent and wide-eyed in the photos he carried, didn't deserve this fallout. I paced our park bench, rain soaking my shoes. Maybe we should just divorce quietly, I said, voice cracking. Let them have each other and move on. Marco shook his head, gentle but firm. And let them think they got away with it. No, Sophia. They've stolen our trust, our money, our time. The kids will heal, with therapy, with us. But if we don't confront, we'll carry this poison forever. His words resonated, echoing my inner turmoil. Emotionally, I was a wreck. Days of empowerment crashed into nights of doubt. At work, coordinating a wedding venue tour, I'd zone out, imagining Alex and Elena's illicit vows. The bride's joy mocked my loss. What if I'd never discovered? Would I have lived in blissful ignorance? Building a life on sand. Therapy sessions helped unpack it. You're grieving the illusion, my counselor said. Allow the anger. It's your ally. I journaled furiously. Pages of why me, evolving to how dare they. One entry detailed a flashback to our 10th anniversary. Alex had worked late, sending flowers with a note. Love you forever. Meanwhile, Elena's Instagram showed her at a rooftop bar, timestamp matching. Forever. The hypocrisy ignited rage that kept me going. Legal prep added layers of reality. We consulted divorce attorneys separately to avoid red flags. Mine, a sharp woman named Carla, reviewed the evidence. Infidelity clause in your prenup. This is gold. You'll get the house, half the assets, maybe more for fraud. Fraud. The word fit. Alex had used our joint card for their escapades, labeling them business. Carla advised freezing accounts subtly. I did, watching Alex puzzle over a declined coffee charge. Glitch! I lied, heart pounding. Marco's lawyer echoed similar advice. But with kids involved, custody loomed. We'll fight for primary, he said. But the emotional cost? Sleepless nights imagining his boy's confusion. Why isn't mommy home? My own childlessness stung anew. After the miscarriage, Alex had delayed trying again, citing career timing. Now I knew he was timing his exit. We built our dossier meticulously. Timelines syncing their lies with our absences. Financial trails proving misuse. Even witness statements from the PI who'd tailed them to a weekend cabin. One photo showed Alex giving Elena a ring. Not engagement, but promise-like. My wedding band felt like a shackle then. I twisted it off in anger, only to slip it back on for the act. Guilt over the families warred with justice. Marco's sons, my extended family who'd adored Alex. His parents called often, "How's our favorite daughter-in-law?" I'd choke back tears, but flashbacks to his gaslighting fortified me. A month ago, questioning a perfume scent, he'd snapped, "You're paranoid. Do you even trust me?" I'd apologized then. Now, no more. The plan crystallized over coffee, one foggy morning. Their favorite spot, I suggested, Bella Vita, the Italian restaurant where Alex proposed to me under twinkling lights. Poetic justice. They dine there weekly, per the PI. We'll reserve the next table, Marco agreed. Arrive early, watch them settle, then approach together. Drop the folder, announce divorces. We rehearse lines. Calm, factual, no hysterics. This isn't what it looks like. I'd mock in practice, mimicking Alex's likely denial. Laughter bubbled up sometimes, cathartic amid tears. We're like spies, Marco joked, but beneath, fear simmered. What if they turned violent? What if I broke down? Emotional highs and lows defined those weeks. A low, discovering they'd discussed kids. Once we're free, we can start fresh. My miscarriage scar ached. They'd erase us for a do-over. Rage propelled me to the gym, pounding treadmills till exhaustion. A high? Bonding with Marco. Our talks veered personal. He shared dreams deferred for Elena. I confessed my infertility fears. No romance, just healing. "You've given me strength," he said one evening, as sunset painted the park gold. I nodded, tears pricking. "Same here. Reservations made. Next Friday, table adjacent." "This is it," I texted Marco. His reply, "For closure." As the date neared, anxiety peaked. Palpitations. Nightmares of failure. But beneath, empowerment bloomed. I'd lost a marriage but gained self-worth. No more trusting blindly. I'd emerged stronger. That night, home alone while Alex networked, I packed a go bag. Essentials for post-confrontation. Tears fell, but they were cleansing. The planning phase wasn't just about revenge. It was rebirth. Guilt lingered, but justice called louder. Soon the tables would turn. Literally. The candlelight flickered across the polished silverware at La Bella Vita, casting romantic glows that mocked the storm raging in my chest. As I sat alone at the table next to theirs, my fingers clenched around a glass of water to hide the tremble. It was 7 p.m. sharp, the night we'd meticulously planned for weeks, and every second felt like an eternity, stretched on a rack of anticipation and dread. My name is Sophia, and as I watched the empty booth where Alex and Elena would soon play out their illicit charade, the weight of 10 years of marriage, of love turned to lies, pressed down like a vice, threatening to crush me before I could strike back. But I wasn't here to break. I was here to shatter their illusions. With Marco by my side and a folder of truth as my sword. I'd arrived early, as planned, my red dress hugging my frame like armor. The same one Alex had once called irresistible on our anniversary here, years ago. The irony wasn't lost on me. This place, with its soft violin music and scent of garlic and fresh bread, had been the birthplace of our romance. He'd proposed in that very booth, down on one knee with a ring that sparkled under the chandeliers. Now, it was their special spot, per the PI's reports. Weekly dinners where they whispered futures that excluded Marco and me. I sipped water, my throat dry, heart hammering so loud I feared the waiter would hear. "Are you ready to order, ma'am?" he asked, notepad in hand. I smiled tightly. "Waiting for my companion." Little did he know, this wasn't a date. It was an ambush. Memories flooded unbidden. Emotional tidal waves that threatened my composure. Flashbacks to happier times here. Alex's hand in mine, toasting to forever. But layered over them were the betrayals. Texts I'd read, photos I'd seen. 18 months of deceit, funded by our joint accounts, laughed off in messages that called me clueless. The pain was visceral, a knot in my gut that twisted tighter with each passing minute. What if I couldn't go through with it? What if seeing them together broke me anew? Therapy had prepared me. Visualize the empowerment, my counselor said, but visualization paled against reality. I checked my phone. No messages from Alex, of course. He thought I was at a work event tonight, the lie I'd fed him mirroring his own. At 7:10, Marco slipped in through the door, his face a mask of controlled fury. He looked sharp in a dark suit, but his eyes, those kind weary eyes, betrayed the storm inside. He spotted me, nodded subtly, and took the seat across. "You okay?" he whispered, his hand brushing mine under the table in a gesture of solidarity. I nodded, though my voice wavered. "Barely. They're due any minute. We'd rehearsed this a dozen times. Arrive separately, observe, then strike." But no rehearsal captured the adrenaline, the mix of terror and exhilaration. Marco squeezed my hand. "We've got this. For us. For the kids." His boys. Those innocent faces. Added stakes. This wasn't just revenge. It was reclaiming dignity for all of us. They arrived at 7:15, right on schedule. Alex first, holding the door for Elena like a gentleman. The same chivalry he'd once shown me. She glided in, blonde hair cascading, wearing a black dress that screamed seduction. They held hands openly, oblivious to the world, laughing at some private joke. My breath caught. Seeing it live was worse than photos. Alex's smile, the one that used to light up for me, now directed at her. They kissed lightly before sitting, his lips on hers, tender, intimate. Jealousy surged, hot and bitter, followed by sorrow that left tears pricking my eyes. How had we come to this? I gripped the table edge, nails digging in. Marco's foot nudged mine under the table. Steady. We watched as they ordered wine, the same Chianti Alex and I had shared on dates. He poured for her, their fingers brushing. To us, he toasted, clinking glasses. Elena's eyes sparkled. To finally being free soon. Free, the word echoed in my head, igniting rage. Free from us, the obstacles. Marco's jaw clenched. He'd heard it too. We let them settle, savoring their appetizer, bruschetta, shared bites like lovers in a movie. My stomach churned. Emotional flashbacks hit. Our miscarriage night, when Alex had fed me soup in bed, promising strength. Was that man gone, or had he never existed? At 7:30, we moved. Now, Marco whispered. We stood, hearts pounding in unison, and approached their booth like ghosts from their past. The restaurant hummed around us, clinking glasses, murmured conversations. But my world narrowed to them. Alex saw me first, mid-laugh, his face drained of color, wine glass slipping from his hand to shatter on the floor. Red liquid spread like blood. Sophia? He gasped, eyes wide with shock. Elena turned, her smile freezing into horror. Marco? What? How? We slid into the booth without invitation. Me next to Alex, Marco beside Elena. The proximity was suffocating. I could smell her perfume on him, the floral scent that had haunted our laundry. Evening, I said calmly, though my voice trembled with pent-up emotion. Fancy meeting you here. Alex stammered. Babe, this isn't... I can explain. Elena's hand jerked away from his, her face ashen. Marco, please. It's not what it looks like. Marco placed the folder on the table with deliberate slowness. A thick manila envelope labeled, The Truth. Oh, it is, he said quietly, his tone laced with pain. We've known for months, compared notes, built this. I opened it, spreading contents like a dealer laying cards. Photos of their trysts, printed texts mocking us, bank statements circling charges. 18 months, I said, my voice steady now, fueled by the catharsis. Hotels, gifts, weekends, all on our dime. Our savings, Alex, the money we saved for a family. The reactions were a whirlwind of emotion, mirroring my own inner chaos. Alex's denial came first. This is insane. Forged. All of it. But his eyes betrayed him. Darting to the evidence, Elena burst into tears, mascara streaking. I'm sorry, Marco. It just happened. Just happened. For a year and a half, rage bubbled, but I held it, remembering our plan. Calm devastation. It happened. While I grieved our miscarriage alone, I asked, voice cracking. Alex reached for my hand. I pulled away. Soph, please, I love you. This was a mistake. Love. The word twisted like a knife. Tears welled in my eyes. Not from weakness, but from the finality. You loved me enough to plan a divorce behind my back, to laugh about my trust. Diners nearby stared, whispers rippling. Public humiliation was part of it, their facade crumbling before witnesses. Elena sobbed harder. The kids! Oh God, the boys! Marco's face softened briefly, pain etching lines. They'll know their mother chose this, but I'll protect them. From you." He turned to Alex. "And you, funding your affair with her husband's hard-earned money. Pathetic." They begged then, Alex pleading reconciliation, Elena promising to end it. "We can work through this," Alex said, voice desperate, but the folder spoke louder. Emails about starting fresh. Vacation photos from our anniversary weekend. I stood, Marco following. "Divorces file Monday," I announced. "Enjoy your dinner, last one on my card." We walked out, heads high, though my legs shook. Outside, cool air hit like freedom. Marco hugged me. We both cried. Relief, grief, triumph mingling. "We did it," he whispered. Emotions crashed, empowerment surging, but sorrow for lost love lingering. The night wasn't just revenge, it was closure's dawn. As we parted, I glanced back at the restaurant. Their booth empty, they'd fled. Good. The storm had passed, rebuilding awaited, but the emotional high faded into reflection on the drive home. Alone in the car, tears flowed freely. 10 years gone, but I'd reclaim my voice. No more shadows. Light ahead, Marco texted. Proud of us. I smiled through sobs. Yes. The chaos erupted like a dam, bursting the moment Marco and I walked out of La Bella Vita, leaving Alex and Elena shell-shocked in their booth, amid shattered glass and staring diners. But the real storm hit when my phone exploded with calls and texts before I even reached my car. Desperate pleas from Alex that twisted my lingering pain into a fresh wave of fury. "My name is Sophia," and in the hours, days, and weeks following that confrontation, the aftermath unfolded like a nightmare I couldn't escape. A whirlwind of legal battles, emotional wreckage, and fractured relationships that tested every ounce of my resolve. I'd thought the revenge would bring closure, but instead it opened floodgates of fallout, forcing me to confront not just their betrayal, but the ruins of my own life. Outside the restaurant, the cool night air slapped my face. A stark contrast to the heat of adrenaline still pumping through my veins. Marco and I stood on the sidewalk, hugging fiercely as tears streamed down our faces. Tears of relief mingled with raw grief. "We did it," he murmured again, his voice thick. But as we parted ways, him heading to his car to face his boys, and the empty home waiting, me driving back to what was once our shared sanctuary. The high began to crash. My phone buzzed incessantly. Alex's number flashing. Voicemails piling up. "Soph, please pick up. This is a misunderstanding. I love you. Come home. We can talk. Home." The words soured in my mind. I ignored them all, gripping the steering wheel, until my knuckles whitened. Flashbacks from the booth replaying. His pale face. Elena's sobs. The folder splayed like evidence in a courtroom drama. Public humiliation had been the goal, but seeing their shock didn't erase my own hurt. It amplified it, echoing the months of loneliness I'd endured. I arrived home to find Alex already there, his car crooked in the driveway like he'd sped recklessly. He burst out the door as I pulled in, face red and frantic. "Sophia, what the hell was that? You ambushed me, with him." His voice cracked. A mix of anger and desperation. I stepped out, keys in hand, feeling strangely detached. Ambushed. Like, "You've ambushed our marriage for 18 months. The argument escalated on the porch, voices rising under the streetlights. He denied, deflected. "It meant nothing. Elena's just a friend. We got carried away, with our money, our time, our future." Neighbors' lights flicked on. I didn't care. "Get out," I said finally, my voice steady, despite the tremor inside. "Pack a bag and leave. Now," he begged, tears falling. "Real ones, Or so they seemed. But I held firm, locking the door behind him as he stumbled away. Alone in the house, I slid down the wall, sobbing uncontrollably. The silence was deafening. Our wedding photo on the mantel mocked me. Emotional exhaustion hit like a truck, relief at his absence, warring with profound loss. Who was I without us? The next morning brought the legal onslaught. I'd already consulted Carla, my attorney, but now it was go time. I filed for divorce by noon, citing infidelity and financial misconduct. The papers served to Alex at his office. Poetic, since that's where the affair bloomed. His response was swift. Calls from his lawyer, contesting everything. He wants mediation, Carla said over the phone. Claims the evidence is circumstantial. Circumstantial. The photos, texts, receipts. We had a mountain. But battles ensued over assets. The house we'd renovated together. Our savings depleted by his extravagance. Even the car titled in both names. Court dates loomed, each one a fresh emotional gut punch. In one hearing, Alex sat across the room, eyes pleading. I avoided them, focusing on Carla's arguments about fraud. He used joint funds for personal gain, she stated. The judge nodded, but the process dragged. Months of depositions where I relived the betrayal in sterile rooms, flashbacks during testimony, recounting the miscarriage, how he'd supported me while texting Elena. Tears escaped. The court reporter paused sympathetically. It's okay, she whispered, but it wasn't. Humiliation in public, again. Family judgment added salt to wounds. My parents rallied, Mom flying in to stay with me, cooking comfort food, and holding me through breakdowns. You're strong, Soph, she'd say. But Alex's family, his mother called daily. He's sorry, dear. Affairs happen. Forgive him? Forgive? The word ignited rage. He mocked me, funded it with our money. I snapped once, hanging up. Friends divided. Some ghosted. Others sided with him, whispering I was overreacting. Jenna stood firm, but isolation crept in. Social media buzzed. Mutual acquaintances, posting cryptic statuses. I deactivated accounts. The digital noise too much. Emotional lows plummeted. Depression wrapped me like a fog. Days in bed staring at ceilings, questioning my worth. Why wasn't I enough? I'd journal, pages tear-stained. Therapy intensified. Twice weekly, unpacking trauma. You're not broken, he is, my counselor affirmed. But nights alone, the bed too big. I'd cry for the man I thought he was. Grieving a ghost, Marco became my lifeline. Our bond deepening amid the fallout. We met weekly for coffee, comparing war stories. His divorce mirrored mine. Elena fought for custody, painting him as absent. The boys are confused, he'd share, voice breaking. I'd hug him, our platonic connection a balm. One evening, over wine at a quiet bar, he confessed, this hurts, but meeting you, it's the silver lining. I nodded, tears welling. Same. We're rebuilding together. No romance, timing wrong, wounds fresh, but friendship bloomed, healing. We attended support groups, sharing laughs amid tears. His kids met me once, shy but sweet. Aunt Sophia, they called me, melting my heart. Childlessness stung less. Perhaps one day, adoption. Marco's strength inspired mine. He balanced teaching, parenting, legal fights with grace. Financial recovery was brutal. Audits revealed Alex had hidden assets. A secret account with Elena. Carla pounced. Embezzlement territory. We recouped thousands, but the hit to my savings meant tightening belts. I threw myself into work, coordinating events with renewed focus. One wedding gig hit hard. The bride's vows echoing mine. I excused myself to cry in the bathroom, but emerged smiling. Resilience built slowly. Yoga classes, runs at dawn, reclaiming hobbies like painting I'd abandoned for us time. Reflections on lost love dominated quiet moments. Walks in parks we'd frequented. I'd whisper goodbyes to memories. I loved you. I'd admit to the wind, but add, you didn't deserve me. Self-worth flickered back. Compliments from colleagues. A flirtatious glance at a coffee shop. Dating, not yet, but possibility loomed. Family holidays approached. Thanksgiving alone loomed daunting, but Mom invited me home. New traditions, she said. Months in, closure peeked through. Alex's pleas tapered. Rumors said he and Elena imploded. Arguments over blame, her moving out. Karma, perhaps. I didn't gloat. Pity stirred. They deserve each other, Marco joked once. We toasted to futures. His with boys, mine undefined, but mine. The aftermath wasn't tidy. It was messy, painful, transformative. Depression lifted gradually, replaced by purpose. I volunteered at a women's shelter, sharing my story anonymously. Betrayal doesn't define you, I'd say. Believing it now. Bonds strengthened. Deeper with Jenna, newfound with Marco. Lost love, grieved but not regretted. It taught boundaries, strength. By winter, the house felt like mine. Repainted walls, new furniture, a symbolic bonfire of old photos released ghosts. Emotional fallout scarred, but scars healed stronger. I wasn't the trusting wife anymore. I was Sophia, resilient, whole. The sun filtered through the newly installed curtains in my living room, casting warm golden patterns on the hardwood floor. I'd refinished myself, a symbolic act of stripping away the old layers of my life to reveal something sturdy and beautiful beneath. And in that quiet morning light, 6 months after the confrontation at La Bella Vita, I finally felt the first stirrings of true peace, like a flower pushing through cracked earth. After a long, brutal winter. My name is Sophia, and as I sipped my coffee from a mug I'd bought on a solo trip to the coast, a deliberate choice to reclaim joy on my own terms. The weight of betrayal that had once crushed me now felt like a distant scar, tender but no longer defining. Rebirth wasn't a sudden epiphany. It was a slow, emotional unraveling and rebuilding, brick by painful brick. From the ashes of a marriage I'd thought was forever. Those initial months post-confrontation had been a blur of survival mode, the fallout lingering like smoke after a fire. But as winter thawed into spring, I began to emerge. The divorce finalized in February, a cold courtroom where Alex sat defeated, his lawyer conceding most assets after the evidence overwhelmed them. I'd kept the house, not out of spite, but because it was my sanctuary now. He got the car, some savings he'd hidden. I got freedom. Elena's split from Marco dragged longer, custody battles tearing at everyone's hearts. But Marco prevailed, primary guardian to his boys. We'd celebrated quietly over coffee, toasting with lattes instead of champagne. To new beginnings, he'd said, his eyes brighter than they'd been in months. Our friendship had deepened, a platonic anchor in the storm. Weekly check-ins, shared laughs about the absurdities of single life, but no romance. We'd both agreed, healing first, hearts too raw for anything more. Rebuilding started small, emotionally charged steps that felt monumental. I quit my event planning job, the one where every wedding reminded me of my own shattered vows, and pivoted to something purposeful, starting a coaching business for women navigating betrayal. From broken to bold, I called it online sessions, where I'd share my story anonymously at first, then openly as confidence grew. The first client email came in March. Your words saved me from isolation. Tears flowed as I read it. Helping others mended me too. Income trickled, but it was mine. No joint accounts, no hidden charges. I budgeted fiercely, cutting luxuries Alex had indulged in, finding joy in simplicity, farmers' markets, home-cooked meals, walks where I'd breathe deeply and whisper affirmations. I am enough. The phrase, once hollow, now resonated. A mantra born from therapy sessions where I'd unpacked layers of self-doubt. Emotional highs and lows punctuated the journey. A low came in April when I ran into Alex at a mutual friends gathering. Uninvited awkwardness in a backyard barbecue. He looked gaunt, eyes hollow. Elena nowhere in sight. Soph, he approached, voice tentative. Can we talk? My heart raced, old pain surfacing like a phantom limb. No, I said firmly, walking away. Later, rumors filtered through. Their relationship had crumbled weeks after the confrontation, built on sand of deceit, arguments over blame. You ruined everything, leading to her moving out, him alone in a dingy apartment. Karma, perhaps, but I felt no glee, only pity laced with closure. They got what they deserved, Jenna said, over wine that night. I nodded, but inside, forgiveness stirred, not for them, but for myself. I'd forgiven my blindness, my trust. I was loving, not foolish. I journaled that evening, tears blotting the page. With Marco, our support system became a cornerstone. We alternated hosting dinners, his with the boys' chaotic energy, mine quiet and reflective. His sons, Timmy and Jake, brought light. Timmy's drawings of superheroes, me as one, cape and all. Jake's questions about why grown-ups fight. We'd navigate carefully. Sometimes people make mistakes, but love wins. Marco dated casually by summer, a kind teacher colleague. I cheered him on. You deserve happiness, I told him. He echoed it back when I dipped a toe into dating. A coffee with a bookstore owner. Nothing serious, but a spark of possibility. No rush, Marco advised. Our bond, invaluable. Therapy buddies, confidants. Proof that good could emerge from wreckage. Inner peace deepened through intentional acts. I traveled solo in May, a weekend to the mountains where I'd hike trails, breathing crisp air that cleared mental fog. Flashbacks hit, parks with Alex, but now reclaimed as mine. This is my space, I'd affirm. Emotions swelling, grief for lost dreams, but gratitude for survival. Yoga became ritual, poses stretching not just body, but soul. One class, in child's pose, tears fell, release of held pain. Friends noticed the shift. You glow, Jenna said. Family too. Mom visited, helping redecorate. Proud of you, she whispered, hugging tight. Extended family, once divided, warmed. Alex's actions spoke louder than his pleas. By summer, career bloomed. My coaching gained traction. Podcasts, invitations, a small online community. One session, a client shared. Your story gives me hope. Emotional reciprocity healed me. I wasn't alone. Financially stable. I splurged on a painting class. Colored splashing canvas, like my renewed vibrancy. Dating evolved. A second meet with the bookstore guy. Laughs over books. No fireworks, but comfort. Proof I could trust again, cautiously. Closure crystallized in July, on what would have been our anniversary. I drove to La Bella Vita alone, reserving a table. Not theirs, but one by the window. I ordered wine, toasted myself. To rebirth. Emotions surged. Sorrow for the girl who'd proposed there, but pride for the woman who'd risen. Alex texted that day, thinking of you. I deleted, no response. Their crumble, confirmed via grapevine. Elena back with an old flame. Alex in therapy, alone. No Schadenfreude, just indifference. The ultimate freedom. As fall approached, life felt full. Marco and I planned a group hike with his boys. laughter echoing trails. Family, Timmy called us, not traditional, but ours. Emotional journey reflected, from discovery's hook of shock to depths uncovered, planning's resolve, confrontation's climax, fallout's trials, to this empowerment. Resilience wasn't innate, it was forged in fire. Forgiveness, for self, yes, pardon for trusting, loving deeply. The scar remained, but it told a story of strength. Looking ahead, possibilities shimmered. Expand business, travel more, perhaps love again. But now, contentment in the present, the sun set on my refinished floor and I smiled. Whole, unbroken, alive.